Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We're going to be right back with this week's Wednesday Wisdom guests. But as always, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors. Now, don't hit that fast forward button. These are all companies that I used as an athletic director. They're all great companies. I really recommend that you check them out. So take the next 3 minutes, listen to our shout outs, then listen to our Wednesday Wisdom guest, and then go and visit each one of these sponsors. I'm telling you, you're going to be glad you did. Here we go. We want to say thanks to Vital Signs Wall of Fame for their support of the podcast. If you're looking for a really cool way to display your school record boards for all the teams, for all the different events, or show off your school's Hall of Fame, go to Vital Signs Wall of Fame and take a look at their interactive touchscreen video consoles. It's also a great way to share your school's history and brag about your proudest moments. The website is vitalsignswalloffame.com. Check them out today. We also want to say thanks to Snap Raise. Have you ever spent weeks and weeks with a fundraiser and been disappointed in the results? Well, those days are gone. Go to snapraise.com. It's hands down the best online fundraiser out there. We used it at our school with tremendous success, and it's going to work for you too. Go to snapraise.com. Check out their other great platforms. But if you're looking for a fundraiser, you just found it. It's snapraise.com. We also want to say thank you to Gipper. You know, your students are on social media, and if they're not seeing content that celebrates their accomplishments and promotes your program, you're missing out on a great opportunity. Go to Gipper.com. Their team is going to have you creating world-class content in seconds. And whether it's social media posts celebrating a victory or an entire newsletter that's sharing all the great things your program's doing, the Gipper team is going to help you get started. It's professional graphic design made easy. Go to Gipper.com to get started. We also want to thank Ohio University and their online masters in athletic administration. Now, I didn't get my master's from Ohio University, but my assistant athletic director did, and it was a great experience. It's reasonably priced, just 20 months, totally online. And while you're earning your master's degree, you're also completing 11 NIAAA leadership training courses at no extra charge. That's ohio.edu/info/MAA, the Ohio University Online Masters. We'd like to thank Hometown Ticketing. Hometown Ticketing is the leading digital ticketing provider to schools and colleges. And whether it's more support, more security, or more customization, the Hometown team is going to help you make the best online ticketing decision, not just for athletic events, but things like school plays, concerts, dances, even graduation. Go to hometownticketing.com. It's digital ticketing that offers more. We want to thank our friends at Home Campus. Home Campus is a platform that you're going to use every single day, whether it's scheduling, rosters, results. Their student athlete eligibility and clearance platform alone is worth the price. Go to homecampus.com. They're going to show you how you can get started using the #1 sports administration software program. That's homecampus.com. We'd also like to thank Sideline Interactive, indoor score tables and video boards. Go to sidelineinteractive.com and you can schedule a live web demo to see their score tables and their score boards in action. Probably one of the best purchases I ever made was our Sideline Interactive indoor score table. Go to sidelineinteractive.com to get started. We want to say thanks to Huddle. As a football coach, I used Huddle for years. As an athletic director, I made sure that our school was a Huddle school, and our coaches, all of our coaches, just loved the tools that Huddle provided. Our students loved the videos, and our parents loved the streaming, but there's so much more. Go to huddle.com, join the 8 million users, and turn your school into a Huddle school. And we want to thank Athletic Surveys by Lifetrack. Athletic directors already get feedback, but a lot of times it's from a very small group that just wants to complain. Athletic Surveys will connect you to that group so you can hear their concerns and hopefully address them, but they're also going to connect you to the 98% that support your program. And having that data is incredibly valuable, especially when you're visiting with a frustrated parent, or maybe your principal, or even your school board. Go to athleticsurveys.com. They're going to create a custom survey that lets you take the pulse of everybody in your program. That's athleticsurveys.com. Check them out today. Welcome back, everybody, to another segment of Wednesday Wisdom on the Educational AD Podcast. We've got a friend of the show and somebody that's, I guess, probably a regular on the podcast. Regular listeners will recognize the name Megan Henry. If you're new to the podcast, Megan has an incredible background in sport. She's well, among other things, she's a military intelligence officer in the U.S. Army Reserves. But she's also she was an American and world record holder in the sport of skeleton. Go back and listen to that interview from a while back. Great stuff. She's also the head of mental strength for a company called Poise. And today she's going to share a new venture that she's involved with. So, Megan Henry, welcome back to Wednesday Wisdom.
Thank you so much. I'm really excited to be here. This is going to be a little bit different what I'm going to talk about. So, previously, I would have said that the mindset stuff. Poise, if you don't know, is an app used to harness visualization and really enhance the mental game for athletes. And I'm also a sports psychologist, so obviously, I'm really passionate about that. However, mindset stuff aside, I'm going to ask the listeners to think of what's the most underrated game-changing tool that you have to transform your athletes. So I think mindset's number one. I'm a huge fan on the mindset side, but it's not a new strength coach. It's not a piece of equipment. It's something that your athletes do every single day, and that is eat food. So nutrition is something that I'm currently working on. I work for a company now called Superhuman, and I do fitness, nutrition, and mindset coaching for high-level executives. So athletic directors, that's you. And one of the things that is very, very common that I'm seeing is people are under eating. They're drastically under eating protein. And this is also something that I didn't take seriously as an athlete until later in my career. And when I started to pay attention to it, my performance drastically increased. And so, if your athletes aren't fueling their bodies correctly, and if you aren't fueling your body correctly, then you're leaving your best performance on the table. And the worst case scenario would be that you are under fueling and you're not recovering and all of the things, like just compounding some of that stress. There's a really big correlation between the nutrition aspect and performance, especially peak performance. And if your athletes want to perform at the highest level, they want to play Division One, they want to be all state, they want to get all of these awards. This is something that is really, really overlooked, even at the highest level. Like I said, I was an Olympic alternate for Team USA. I had really amazing accomplishments at the highest level in sport, but even at the like Division 1 college level, it really wasn't touched on that much. And so, it starts with what's on your plate. So I just wanted to give that like brief overview and then break it down on how like nutrition is more than just calories, okay? And if you think the analogy that I like to share is that your athletes and you, where I said this even as for mindset, if anybody remembers, like we are all high performance vehicles. And so what you fuel yourself with, both as f food and your like mental diet, impacts how you perform. So if you are going to put cheap gas in a Lamborghini, it doesn't usually like it, right? It doesn't reach its full potential. And the same thing is true for your athletes. So if they're fueling up on fast food, sugary snacks, most schools have vending machines, right? And all of the stuff in there is usually stuff you can find in the center aisles at the grocery store. And the other thing is sometimes kids they skip meals altogether, right? And that's true. I'm sure, Jake, I'm sure you've had some busy mornings and you run out the door and you're skipping breakfast, and next thing you know, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon and you haven't eaten anything yet, right? So, I just wanted to bring that to people's attention that this is something that we tend to overlook, just, as adults with our attention being pulled in many directions. As soon as we open our eyes, you've got emails to attend to and notifications on your phone. But the as far as for athletic directors and how you can take this information and utilize it is being able to stress the importance to your coaches, yourself, and your athletes so that you're boosting the performance of the team overall as well as their recovery. So it's for both the classroom and for sports performance. It's all overall, right? And that is true for yourselves too. So as far as like high schoolers go, their peak years of growth are at this time. So protein, I would say, is the number one thing that we should focus on for that because it's the building blocks of their bodies, right? This is where we get amino acids from. This is how we develop strong bones, strong muscles, skin, all of the things. And so this is also incredibly useful for muscle recovery after games and reducing the risk of injury. And I would say that for most of the listeners, it's very likely that you are under eating protein. And so I would say that a good starting point is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight is like a good goal to get to for you as an individual, also for your athletes. And the key takeaway I would say for protein sources that are easy to grab would be things like eggs, the Greek yogurt packets. They come in those little cups. You can buy them in the aisle. Obviously, any sort of meat like chicken, turkey, beef, your favorites. Any like dairy, milk, and cheese, also good sources of protein. And how to impact your athletes with this would be to discuss the why that I mentioned before. Like we want to perform at our best, we want to recover, we want to have your brains also being able to focus and pay attention and execute and make decisions quickly. And a way that you can do this is also through the coaches. And so, much like you are juggling a really heavy and busy schedule, so are student athletes. There's a lot of demands on them, right? They're juggling school, practice, games, a social life, and finding the time to eat right is probably not on the top of their list, right? So, and they probably just don't have that awareness and they're grabbing whatever is fast, whatever is easy, and sometimes that's not the best sources of food. So, I think just even contemplating like how can you bring this to your administration, to your organizations, is bringing just a little bit of awareness. And you don't need like a dietitian or a nutritionist on staff or anything like that, or overhauling the cafeteria. You can just have small intentional changes to have a big impact. So, my ideas for you to consider would be having ideas for pre-practice or pre-game fueling. So, having some carbs available that are easy to digest, and a source of protein both pre and post. So, you can have like banana with peanut butter, trail mix with nuts, Greek yogurt, some granola, things that are still like healthy. And if some of your schools tailgate, you can tell the parents, bring some healthy protein-centered snacks to these tailgates. And carbs give that quick energy, and protein will help stabilize blood sugar so they don't crash halfway through during the game. And then post game for the recovery, if you can have like a 3-to-1 protein ratio, which I know you're like, okay, when am I going to measure this out? Chocolate milk is a fan favorite. It's got carbs and it's got protein. So you can do that, or you can have turkey wraps, anything that has like protein being the centerpiece is really, really useful. So, the other tip I would say, as far as nutrition goes, and Jake, you can stop me at any time if I'm rambling here,
No, not at all.
would be hydration. So the two big things are protein and hydration. So if you're thirsty, I'm sure you guys have heard this before, it's already too late that you're probably dehydrated. And 1% of dehydration results in a 13% decrease in performance, which is quite shocking. So, um, and you all, as the listeners, you're probably thinking, okay, this sounds great. How do I make this happen? So, your role is really about the influence and the accessibility. So, you can create that foundation for good habits by just like even having conversations with the coaching staff, right? What are the basics of performance nutrition? Just reminding athletes to fuel up before practice, to recover after, really focusing on that protein content. And you could work with your schools or your boosters just to have like either locker rooms, concession stands, whatever it is, have healthier protein focused snacks. And if you wanted to, I can send you like a protein snack guide as well. And your challenge as the athletic director, because wisdom only works when it's applied, is to take one actionable step yourself towards better nutrition for you and for your athletes. So, you listeners, you might be underfueling yourself. So, you're managing teams, you're attending games, you've got meetings, you're constantly on the go. So it's easy to skip meals, to grab whatever is convenient. And if you yourself are feeling tired or foggy and low energy, there's a really good chance that you're not fueling yourself properly either. So my pro tip for the listeners is to, again, aim for 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight per day. So that looks like, if you want to have 3 meals and 2 snacks, just having it protein focus at each one of those throughout the day. It keeps you fuller longer. It supports your body under all of the stress that you're dealing with. And that could be eggs at breakfast time. You can have a protein shake or a protein bar, lean meats at lunchtime. And just this one change can make a huge impact in your focus, your mood, your energy levels, and hopefully you don't come home hangry and ravenous and raid the refrigerator. So, that is my tip for the day. It sounds easy, but it's really overlooked at even the highest levels in elite sport with people I work with, and on the executive side as well. So. It sounds simple, but that's my challenge to you, to have this conversation and to challenge yourself to get that protein in.
Boy, as always, great stuff. Real quick, and then you can tell me if I misspeak here. For student athletes, you're absolutely right. Everybody, regardless of the sport, everybody's practicing. They're doing the skill work. Most people, they're probably in the weight room. They're doing their speed and agility and all that. But as you and I have talked about before, the mindfulness is often neglected, and the nutrition is often neglected as well. And I don't know if we've talked about this before. I use that exact same analogy as a health and wellness teacher with my students about, we are high performance machines. You want to put that good fuel in that, or the engine's going to be, coughing and sputtering as you go down the road. And, that quality fuel is even that much more important for a performing athlete, whether they're high school or college. Very, very good stuff. And for athletic directors, we joke within the profession of, the athletic director dinner, a hot dog, a soda, and a bag of chips at the concession stand, because you're absolutely right. You're just so busy during the day. It takes some intentional planning, which I did later in my career. I wish I would have done it earlier on, bringing let's say a more healthy lunch, a possible, healthy snack, and then even, a dinner. You're still going to have that hot dog every once in a while because it tastes so
Yeah.
good. But yeah, it's something that you as a coach, as an AD, as a leader, You just have to see the value in it for your students, for your coaches, because it doesn't help you if that coach drops dead of a heart attack because haven't been taking care of themselves, and for you as that leader, as that athletic director. Um, Megan, let's go and do this. We'll do it again because I don't want to cut you off. If one of our listeners wanted to reach out, find out more, either more about Superhuman or just pick your brain, what's the best way that they can get a hold of Megan Henry?
Awesome. So you can find me on Instagram. That one is the same as always. It's at the Savage Meglet. And then email wise, you can either reach me at Megan Henry at getpoised.com or Megan at suprahuman.com. So it's SUPRA human.com.
Okay. Real quick, you mentioned Superhuman. Your client base, your target, I guess, includes executives, high performing and maybe under some high pressure. That certainly describes athletic directors. What are a couple of things that our AD listeners could reach out to maybe get some help and guidance in?
So our target is busy individuals, right? So and that definitely ADs fall under that because usually your own fitness and nutrition ends up going to the wayside because you have your attention's being pulled in all sorts of directions. And so what we focus on is being able to manage and put fitness and nutrition easily into your life versus like requiring you to go to the gym for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. Like that's not how we operate. So we really specialize in doing what I like to call the minimum effective dose. So getting you to the gym at least 3 times a week. 30 to 45 minutes, something that you can usually fit into your lifestyle. Because, hey, most of you have gyms at your school, so you can use that working with what you've got available. Or if you want to train at home with just a set of dumbbells at home, we make it work for you but really honing in on the nutrition aspect because that is what's going to help you, one, show up better as a leader, have more energy, boost your mood, and also help you get better results in the least amount of time. So we really hone in on that aspect. And then, of course, the mindset as well, since we are dealing with high performers. So I use a lot of the sports psychology stuff that I use with my like elite athletes. I use that same mindset stuff on this side with people. So that is the really cool part because I get to express my passion that way and really focus on the mindset of peak performance for our clients.
Yeah. And again, athletic directors, does anybody, you talked about the busy schedule of a student, does anybody have a busier schedule than that AD that a lot of times they're getting there at 7 a.m., at least 7:30. And then if there's a game in the gym or out on the fields, you're not, turning off the lights until, 10:30
Yeah.
or maybe later. So, talk about pressure. It's great pressure, love the job, but it's pressure nonetheless. And for our listeners, I want to review quickly, Megan, not just a high performing athlete, a world class, world record holding athlete. And you've been very candid about how you trained and you competed and you were doing very well. But when you started to embrace the mindfulness and the nutritional, the impact that, putting that good fuel in your body can have, it took your performance to that next level. And athletic directors, we're not trying to set world records, but we all want to do our very best. And you would do very well to reach out to Megan at Superhuman. Megan, let's go and give out that contact information one more time.
Sure. I'll leave with superhuman since that's one we talked about most recent. So it's Megan at suprahuman.com, SUPRA human.com.
Well, Megan, thanks for taking time out of your schedule to share with our listeners. All the best moving forward with Superhuman and all the other things you've got going. And as always, looking forward to the next time we have you on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
For listeners, we want to say thanks to you and just remind you that we upload the Zoom recordings of all of our interviews to the Educational AD Podcast YouTube channel. We do this segment every single week, and just about every day we try to share stories and best practices. So please come back and join us on the next episode of the Educational AD Podcast. We'll see you next time. Hey, always a great time with Megan Henry. Make sure you check out that new website, Supra, Supra Human, Suprahuman, and reach out to Megan for nutrition, for mental performance, mental strength, or even strength and conditioning information. Great resource. Speaking of great resources, we want to give a shout out to our sponsors. Let's go and start with K12 Sports Tech. If you're not a member of the K12 Sports Tech AD Think Tank, go to k12sportstech.com to sign up. Also want to thank Vital Signs Wall of Fame, Snap Raise, Hometown Ticketing, Athletic Surveys, Sideline Interactive, Home Campus, the Ohio University Online Masters in Athletic Administration, Gipper, and Huddle. These are all companies that I used as an AD. You should be using them too. So thanks again for listening. We'll see you next time on the Educational AD Podcast.